Starbucks barista strike expands nationwide days after the New York City and Seattle mayors call for a boycott of all Starbucks products. Crazy thing about the Seattle mayor, Starbucks is from Seattle. So you're basically saying boycott one of our own major industry players because what could go wrong? This is going to work out great. Just all you're doing is reducing your tax flow in an environment where you've already got major budget deficits. But hey, socialism has never worked before. It's going to work this time. It's going to work this time. Let's get into it. Here we go. I'm not buying Starbucks and you shouldn't either. Why? Because the coffee doesn't taste good? That's what a lot of people tell me. I don't drink coffee, so I don't really care. Because I can live without Starbucks one way or the other, but I know a lot of you can't. And you're like, no, Starbucks is okay. Starbucks provides a service. Baristas provide a service. But the service that baristas provide ain't worth what they're striking for. It's not worth what they're striking for. It's just not. You get paid to pour coffee, right? Here's your coffee. That ain't worth whatever they're asking for. We just need a decent living wage. Well, you're working in a big city that's super expensive because of Democrat progressive policy. We've had 40 years of Democrat rule in Washington State, in Seattle, right? 40 years. And guess what? Things are expensive as a result. Things are expensive. West Coast, best coast. Washington, Oregon, California have some of the most expensive, you name it. Whatever you're talking about, you name it, we've got it. So let's watch this quick video. This is a good one right here. Okay. Here's your Workers of the World Unite speech.
Baristas are the heart and soul of this company, and they deserve better than empty promises and corporate union busting. That is why I am proud to stand with union baristas in their fight for a fair contract and for a union. That is why I am proud to join them on their picket line and proud to say loud and clear, I am not buying Starbucks and you should not either. And I would like to close with a message to Starbucks. This is your hometown and mine. Seattle's making some changes right now.
And what I'd say is they're not for the better. Business owner. These are not for the better changes. But you know what? It's socialism. Let's just give it a rip and see what happens. What could go wrong, right? Socialism shenanigans. And we're going to be laden with them. And each single time we're going to be able to go, all right, price of that went up. All right, price of that went up. Okay, that store closed down. All right, that makes sense. Yeah, what else you got for us? Well, I'm going to do, okay, all right. We'll measure that because cost of housing, cost of gasoline, these are all measurable things that you can track. And most of the socialism has run on, we're going to make things more affordable. We're going to provide more affordable housing, which they flat out can't do. You have zero ability to create affordability in a state like Washington, in a city like Seattle. You have zero ability to do that. Because of all the layers and layers and layers of just absolute nonsense that you've interjected into a system that you don't need. And all of those layers cost money. States like Florida, states like Texas haven't done that. And they are affordable. And literally everybody is moving there right now, right? I mean, they're moving out of California to Texas and Florida in droves. Every minute, one taxpayer, this is IRS data, every minute, one taxpayer, California, leaves and goes to Texas. It's insane. The numbers in the data are insane. But hey, let's go ahead and close down Starbucks and it'll be fine. Insanity.
And I urge you to do the right thing. Because in Seattle, when workers' rights are under attack, what do we do? When workers' rights are under attack, what do we do? When workers' rights are under attack, what do we do? Because this is your city. Thank you very much.
Now that's what a bunch of retarded Starbucks, union busting or union wannabes. That's what they look like. That's this group here. Hey, Starbucks workers in Washington State, in Seattle that are protesting, get a different job if you can't afford to live here. Or move to a new location. Out you go. Out you go. You know what I would love to see Starbucks do is close down all these stores that are that are wanting to stick it to the man. I would closed. They've already done it to 11 stores in Seattle. Some very prominent stores like this one here. This one here is out in front of the Seattle Roastery. And people are like, I don't understand why they closed down. Because you got really expensive hourly wages here that have been mandated by the people for the people, whether a business can afford it or not. And guess what? On super thin margins, Starbucks can't. So Starbucks is closing down. So I would love to see just close everyone in Seattle. Close every damn Starbucks in Seattle and see how that works out. See how that works out. I mean, I think that would be just something fantastic. It's like, they're all closed. What happened? Well, a bunch of socialists got together and they said, we're going to unionize. There's only about 5% of Starbucks stores are unionized. So let's get back to Mamdani for a second here. Starbucks union says its strike has expanded to over 30 locations throughout the country, with the latest work stoppage hitting a store in Albany, New York, days after New York City's socialist mayor-elect Zoran Mamdani called for a boycott of the chain. He looked over from the East Coast and saw Katie Wilson way over here in Seattle and said, yep, we got to do that. Basically, day after came out with the same damn thing because it's, workers of the world unite. We're really going to get somewhere on this one. And all that's typically happened when this goes down is Starbucks closes stores. And then your wage goes from, call it $25 to zero. How are those numbers working for you, socialists? When you get fired, when they say they close the store down and they say you're going to have a job at other Starbucks, but you really don't, and your Starbucks closed, and you're like, oh, there's my store covered in graffiti. True story. There's my store covered in graffiti. Oh, I wish it was still open. But we protested and they shut that bastard down. That's what happens. Bunch of losers. Continuing his anti-capitalist message, Mamdani tweeted, making New York City affordable means an end to unfair labor practices and a living wage for our workers. Okay, but Starbucks isn't meant to be a living wage. It's just not. It's one of those jobs that's not really meant to do that. It's not. Sorry, folks. Sorry, folks who think otherwise. That sound you hear, that's your head just going further inside your you-know-what. Right? I mean, because you're mentally challenged. We are their partners in the fight to live in this city with dignity, said the Pole who takes office just after midnight on January 1st. Okay, you know what? I mean, this is literally going to be fantastic, right? This is going to be fantastic from the standpoint of just watching these absolute failures because, look at my next story. Socialist mayor-elect reveals why she embraced her parents giving her money as a 43-year-old. Katie Wilson, 43, said openness about taking her parents' money during campaign made her relatable to voters. These are the voters that vote a socialist in. See what I'm working with here? Do you see what I'm working with? It is fantastic because it is stupidity in a petri dish, and it is called Seattle. That is what Seattle is. We've got so many backwards policies here that are all just, we're so progressive. This is progress. And they don't work. They just flat don't work. So you want to elect somebody who can't work out how to afford a major North American city, and then you want to put her in charge of it all in the hopes that she reduces costs? This is somebody who hasn't figured out step number one as a 43-year-old individual, how to navigate life. And she comes out with, well, took my parents' money during the campaign and it made me more relatable to the voters, which makes you completely unqualified to be mayor of one of North America's biggest cities. But you know why I'm not complaining? Because I'm going to have podcasts forever. This is going to be an epic 4-year run for me. This is going to be stupendous. I mean, get out the popcorn. This is going to be great, because at every single step along the way, we're going to see failure in real time, because none of what these lunatics say they're going to do, they have zero ability to change anything. And yet you've got all these people living in Seattle, a single taxpayer right now in Seattle, living on their own, has got to make $135,000 just to get by. More than $10K a month just to get by. That's insane. It's also West Coast, Best Coast, and same thing on the East Coast. Super expensive to live there, right? Super expensive to live there. Why is that? Because policy year over year over year over year of progressive ideology. Look at Gavin Newsom in California. Just absolutely driven how many industries into the ground. Made life more expensive for those at the lower end of the totem pole who can least afford to pay $5 a gallon for gas. And that's what we've got here in Seattle too. But hey, let's go ahead and boycott Starbucks, where they actually give people a pretty decent wage and a bunch of benefits already. And that's why they don't need to unionize. But you got a bunch of knuckleheads who are like, I'm not making rent. Yeah, well, neither is the mayor. Wilson, who recently told CNN she thought embracing the help she got from her parents made her more relatable to Seattle voters, who are a bunch of losers. Okay, who can't pay their own bills. Okay, all right. Yeah. Hey, Seattle voters. Why don't you look at, kind of what's going on in your life? And if you can't afford it, take your skill set. You obviously had what it took to get your foot in the door here in Seattle, right? Take your skill set to somewhere else, slightly less expensive, where you're going to get paid the same, and move there. Because you're not making it on your own. And that means if you can't make it on your own and you become homeless, we got to pay for your ass. Right? And you know what? Homelessness is not a matter of affordable housing. It's a matter of drugs. Period. Anybody who says otherwise, I want you to go out into a homeless encampment in Seattle and you tell me that's just a nice family over there who's down on their luck. Mom and dad are both shooting up meth. Kids are playing in squalor. Kids got a used hypodermic needle he's handling. A bunch of tinfoil and toddlers sticking in their mouth. There's that kind of stuff all the time. So, and after much deliberation and a grueling interview process, she was pleased to announce that her higher salary as mayor will mean she no longer needs financial support from her parents. Okay, I feel so much better. I feel so much better now. So now that a bunch of numbnuts elected you to office as a socialist, you can pay your bit. What about all the rest of the folks? What about the folks that at Starbucks that are going to have their stores closed because you did this little, we need more money. We need more livable wages. How about those folks when their income goes to $0 per hour? Because that is inevitably what happens. Zero. How are you going to support them then? Yeah, I mean, Washington State is literally going to support them with, as of January 1st, striking workers will get unemployment. I mean, we've got some fantastic things going on here in Washington State. Not for reasonable people, but for nut job people with, shenanigans for ideas on how to run big cities that don't really work whatsoever. So we had this one. House condemns horrors of socialism as lawmakers feud. Seattle's mayor-elect draws attention. The House basically came out and said, socialism is terrible. Yeah, but you've already got 2 major North American cities with socialist mayors. So kind of day late, dollar short there, guys and gals. It just doesn't really matter. let's take a look at this one a little bit. And we watched this in that video. She then led a chant often heard during political protests. When workers' rights are under attack, what do? Stand up, fight back. Okay, so what are you fighting back on? What are your workers' rights that are under attack? You just think that you're worth more money, but you're not. That position is not worth more money. It's worth whatever they pay you, and if you don't like that, go get a different job. Period. So which workers' rights are under attack? Which workers' rights do you have a right to? A fair wage. Well, you're getting more than a fair wage already at Starbucks by being employed by Starbucks because they got a bunch of bennies for you as well, right? Remember when everybody used to say, oh, Starbucks is the best. They pay for my college, pay for this, pay for that. But then Seattle became really expensive, didn't it? Why did Seattle become so expensive? Why did Seattle become so expensive? How did Seattle get so expensive? Nobody ever wants to answer that question, do they? From the left. They don't want to answer it. And how did Republican cities and counties and states stay so affordable? How did they stay so affordable? Yeah, nobody wants to talk about that because in doing so, you'd have to admit complete failure. You'd have to admit it. You'd have to go, yeah, our policies suck. Progressive policies absolutely are terrible. Therefore, we need to change things up moving down the road. We need to do something different here. But that's not going to happen, is it? That's just not happening. Instead, I mean, you get this kind of stuff. You elect a mayor, can't pay her own bills. Could you imagine this in like the 1950s, this headline coming out? Could you imagine this in the 1970s, this headline coming out? I'm sorry, what? We're electing who? Why? No, we're not. Because the far left back then wouldn't have had the pull that they do now. And, you know, we're watching it in real time. We are literally watching Katie Wilson, who is completely unqualified for this position. And that is why the lunatics in Seattle think that she is qualified, because she's unqualified. She's going to break up the status quo. All right, I'm willing to look at it. Let's give her a run. I'm willing to see what she's got going on. It's going to be a bunch of terrible policies that don't move the needle in the direction we think it is. It's actually going to move the needle the other way. And then we'll sit back and the socialists will say, well, if we just spent more money, if we just gave it more time, it would have gotten there. And it never does. Never does. Because the things that you're battling affordability-wise on West Coast, Best Coast, Washington, Seattle, Portland, Oregon, California, Los Angeles, San Francisco, you name it. Those affordability issues are built into their systems over decades and decades and decades of progressive rule. And that's what you get. That's what you get. You get really expensive living conditions. You've reduced the supply of land. You've caused the cost of construction to absolutely go through the roof, cost of gasoline, cost of food, cost of everything. Everything you can think of is no, and not in the right direction, right? So you can't build more houses and expect that price to fall. Never gonna happen. Never gonna happen. So as a real estate professional of 30-something years, 35 years, who knows what it is, and it doesn't really matter. When I tell you affordability is not going to be brought down, that's based on demand and supply and how little we can actually impact the supply, because you got a bunch of tree huggers in Seattle who won't allow that to happen. We need more affordable housing, but I still want to hug the tree. Make up your mind. You can't have both there, numbnuts. Pretty straightforward, isn't it? It's pretty straightforward. And yet, let's go ahead and let's give Katie Wilson, a 43-year-old who can't work out her own personal budget, to lead a city with 40-something departments and a budget of $9 billion. Let's just see how it goes. It's what we're doing. This is literally what we're doing in real time. This is going to be great. All right. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit that notification bell because we're going to cover this into the ground because that's where these policies will put these cities. Thanks for being here. I'll see you on the next episode. Bye for now.